I am teacher Joanna Marie, and right now we will be going to discuss about the famous literature, which is the story Everybody Has His Burden. The learning objectives is to present the historical and cultural background of Indonesian, and number two is to determine the significance of the story to Indonesian, and the last is to explain the connection or the importance of the story to world literature. History or background. The history of Indonesian literature comprises of the following periods. The period of Buddha, it began since the discovery of Yuba inscription. The written records found in the 4th century, the writing adopted the Sanskrit and Pallava letters from India in the same period. The poets began to develop their skills in literature. Another is the Old Malay poets. Literary works are dominated by Sayer, Gurindam, Pantu, and Saga, where stories are all about morals. History literature in this period are all written by anonymous poets. Another is the Poets of Balay, Pustaka, from 1920 to 1950, the period when Balay Pustaka, publisher intended by the Dutch East Indies colonial government, had a right to arrange the literature circulation. The literature are mostly romance and the novels. Next is the Punja Baru from 1930 to 1932. The Punjaga Baru is form of reaction from Balay Pustaka publisher who are considered too strict in censorship, especially on works that contains elements of nationalism for independence period. Another is 1945 to 2000. The literature in this period is inspired by the social political circumstances of the revolution to maintain independence. The literature produced are poetry, spirit of nationalism. Another is 1950s, characterized by the publication of literary magazine. Acts of Care HB, as in the literature, is dominated by short stories and poems. Another is 1966 to 1970s. This period is marked by the publication Horizon Literary Magazine. Many literature styles were growing like surrealistic and absurd. And another is 1980s. The literature revolved around romance and love began to appear popular novels with easy to understand light stories. And 1998, the reform of state structure in political and social and economic aspect has given a good chance over the development of Indonesian literature. And the last one is 2000s. The emergence of this generation is to mark by the rise of works of literature, poetry, short stories, and novel. The theme of social political, especially around the Reformation. This piece is not about a common story just to entertain. It is all about the balance of true democracy. This story manifests how equilibrium at almost everything is lost. This story shows how true equality turns into a propaganda in unjustifiable manner. How insensitive the people now, how people only think for themselves. True democracy will only be unconcealed if things work in unity and fair. Everybody Has His Burden is an Indonesian folktale that has no author. It was preserved through oral transmission. The adult narrated this story to children and the children also told the story to the next generation. Now, This story is written inaccessible through different sites and bookstores. Everybody has his burden, but the heaviest burden is the small and the low. On the islands of Sumatra, there was a majestic mango tree. It had a heavy branches that goes like arms to the sky, and thick foliage from which huge, large, and fleshy fruits. The dream which had grown next to a road attracted the attention of everyone who passed by. One day, a beautiful voice was heard emerging from the ground at the foot of the tree. The root said, "I cannot take it anymore. What a burden I have to endure. I have to hold on tightly to the ground and to bear the enormous weight of the trunk and its heavy branches in addition to the added load of leaves and fruits. Because of all this way, I am buried alive, unable to enjoy the curses of the sun, the vision of the starry nights and the moon. I'm dying of curiosity to see how the rest of the creatures that populates the earth, our sister in life who I'll never know. Why did it come to me to be the root? Nobody knows how much suffering this means for me. If only I could have the idle life of the trunk." "What? Idle life? How can you say that?" replied the trunk, unable to believe what he heard. "My life is not easy at all. I also have to hold up a lot of weight. Have you seen those branches that rises to sky? Have you seen how many fruits hang from them? I carry the food for them all, up and down tirelessly, day after day, and the animals scratch them back on me and tear up my bark. And have you not seen my hard fights against the gales and the hurricane winds? The winds turns and twist my body, and I have to make a colossal effort to prevent branches from breaking off, or worse, being cut in half, which would mean that we all die." In addition, the trunk continued, "Human cuts my branches with axe from time to time, leaving deformed stump, and they love to engrave their names in my skin with knives. And do they thank me? Humans only thank leaves, which give them a shadow over their heads, leaves to have a festive life, because they spend the day dancing with the breeze." Suddenly, the leaves referring to the trunk, and the branches and the root spoken out. "You are all ungrateful. We protect you from the sun rays in the summer and from the monsoon rains in late autumn and winter. We protect you from the winds and even give our life for you. Many of us are torn and dragged to death by the gales, and those of us who manage to survive by clinging to the branches end up bruised and full of scratches. If we are not devoured by the animals like those that hang lowest, and if we are lucky enough to avoid being dragged by the winds, and to finally fall peacefully to the ground, we find ourselves with the sad fate of the fire that humans reserve for dry leaves. How can you say, trunk, that we have a festive life. Maybe the fruits do have a good life hanging there and swaying. The fruit said, "It is sad to hear you talking like that." That the fruit said at once, "We are the one that should inspire the most compassion. Do you know what it is to live harassed by fear? The insect eat us, the birds eat us, the animals eat us, and human come to tear us from the branches to devour us whole. But the most tragic all of all is that we have to accept our destiny and preserve our good name, our sweetness, for the sake of all of you. If we were not tasty, human would cut down the trees because it would be useless for them. If humans plant us and give us all a life, it is thanks to us because they find us delicious. It is our sacrifice that protects the tree, and we are the one who make it possible for you to have offspring through our seeds." "Do not argue, do not argue," said a seed at the foot of the tree with a conciliatory tone. "Arguing weakens us all." And she added sensibly, "All of you strive to create me, and in this way we can reproduce and survive. And for me, it is not easy either. You know, they bury me alive, and I must open my bowel to make all live you again." "Oh, enough is enough. Shut up now," the root shouted. "It is true that together we create mingos, and that one plays an important role. But the heaviest burden is on me, because you all depend on me. If I did not exist, none of you would be here. If I get sick, forget about the trunk, leaves, fruits, and seeds. I feed you all, and I have to go into the earth and the darkness to look for your sustenance, while you ignore me and only think of yourselves. And so, it is also among humans. The Batak people say, before making a decision, think about the rest of the group that makes up a society. For there to be true democracy, the roots, trunks, leaves, fruits, and seeds, I have to participate in decision and collaborate with each other for the common goods. However, it is the root, the most numerous layers of the society, that sustain and keep alive the rest of the society. They are the one who carry the heaviest burden. Everybody has his burden is an Indonesian literature. Indonesia has abundance of trees and plants. Actually, the 2/3 of the country's territory is made of tropical rainforest. Because of this, the story was made to explain how a country is kept alive. The author used symbolism to show connection between a tree and a country. The road symbolizes the farmers, fishermen, and other workers that give life to different parts of the country. The role is to ensure that everybody is getting the nutrients or the food they need. The trunk symbolizes the sellers, the merchants, and the businessmen who distribute the food from the roots to the other member of the country. The leaves symbolizes the soldiers and the protectors of the land. They are willing to sacrifice themselves to protect the country. And people in the society are symbolized by the fruits. Families and every individual kept keep the peace and establish the name of the country for it to be known around the world. And the tree symbolizes a country, and each part has a role, making tree stand against all the storms and droughts, and staying together for the future of new scene. Now, let's proceed to the post reading activity. Answer the following questions. Number 1, how does the story reflects humans' attitude and view of the world? Number 2, what are the things you consider to be your burden? And number 3, how do you handle your burdens in life? Number 4, what could be the significance of your burdens in your life? Assessment. What are the greatest things you've learned from the story, and how will you apply it to your life? So, to extract the substance of this folktale and integrate something important, this story serves as a forewarning. It tells people to be more meticulous, to show care and compassion, to eradicate the blindfold against lies and evils, to listen more carefully before taking one step ahead, to tell people to work together for everyone's progress. After all, it is that no man can stand alone by himself in a battle. But when unity takes part, everything works easier and better. Success is more immediate than you could ever imagine. The morals the same, the message is clear, patient, and humility. Therefore, the critics conclude that story gives the readers a warning, an instruction against inequality and ignorance, because it plants about and argue among the parts of the tree about their burdens in an insensitive manner. Blindfolded from harmony, understanding and essence of true democracy. It focuses on the insensitivity of the different parts of the tree that represent the society. A society of negligence, negligence to the thoughts and feelings of the other people. Everybody has his burden. Focus on the roles of different parts of the tree and related to how a nation works. Every part is associated with people who have a duty to provide the needs of the citizen. It emphasizes duty and responsibility as well as equality and unity. Thank you for listening, and that's all. Thank you.